Lots of 5 stars, lots of 4 stars. UGA, position by position. Next on Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, breaking down UGA. The Bulldogs set to defend their SEC Eastern Division Championship. We've got Savannah Lee Richardson on the line from Dawn of the Dog. Please join her and the rest of the staff right there on Georgia football coverage. Of course, you can help us build the channel by grabbing the Amazon link in the description section below. Do your regular shopping. Doesn't cost you a penny. Just go in there, do your regular Amazon shopping using that link to help build the channel. We've got an exclusive, actually 2 exclusive live streams each and every week on Patreon. So join our Voice of College Football community there. For my response, my reaction to your comments, we've received over 36,000 year to date. That compares to 6,000 at this point last year. So thank you for your response. And now you get to hear my reaction to your response. So get ready for that. And also a live stream with you featured, bringing on the viewers, the college football community that we have over on Patreon for an exclusive live stream every week. All right, let's get to these wide receivers because you lose a whole bunch of productivity. Riley Ridley, 43 catches, 9 touchdowns. Mecole Hardman, 35 catches, 7 touchdowns. Terry Godwin caught 23 last year with 3 touchdowns. And of course, he had been more productive in previous seasons. So a lot of guys that you lose, but as is the case with Alabama and now plug in the name Georgia, there's 4 and 5 stars waiting in the wings, ready to replace.
When I was writing notes and making sure that I wasn't trying not to leave anybody's name out. I'm sure I still left some people's name out. There were so many names that could make an impact this season with Georgia losing those 3 guys. You also have people who are, the 2019 class that just came in. George Pickens, a 5-star wide receiver from Alabama, who was an Auburn lock until National Signing Day in February when he flipped to Georgia. And then you also have Lawrence Cager who transferred from Miami. Both of these guys are 6'4" and 6'5" and 200 pounds each. Those are 2 humongous.
Savannah, I hate to stop you right there. I hate to stop you. You not watching Miami football. You got to get this straight before he hits the field. Cager,
sorry.
Lawrence Cager.
All
right, you're all set. He's now officially a dog.
Okay.
If you pronounce his name right and got it, then he's locked in.
Okay, Lawrence Cager. I like how big Lawrence Cager is. 6'5" and 200 pounds. That's a humongous target. That's going back to when Georgia had a Javon Wims. And then George Pickens has also been told that he's like a newer version of an AJ Green, which I'm not giving that to him yet until I see it on the football field, because AJ Green is one of the best wide receivers to ever come through Georgia and was one of the best in the NFL. So it's kind of hard to compare a high school athlete to an AJ Green. But those are 2 guys, and you see Georgia picking up these bigger wide receivers now instead of going more of towards a slot to give Jake Fromm and the other quarterbacks bigger targets to throw to. You also have Jeremiah Holloman, who is likely going to be the guy this year, who is probably going to lead the team. And he very well could be the first wide receiver since Malcolm Mitchell, Chris Connolly days to get over 500-plus yards in receiving. I don't want to say 1,000 because I don't want my stats and everything to be wrong, but he could very well get close to that number. He did great last season. He had 418 yards on 24 catches and 5 touchdowns, and I expect those numbers to probably double with Coach Conley. Yeah, Coach Connolly at OC now, I'm expecting us to use the tight ends a lot more, and I'm expecting us to utilize our big wide receivers, our talented wide receivers, because not everybody knows that Georgia wants to run the ball. So why not? You have you have a whole entire room full of talented wide receivers just waiting to get their chance, waiting to get on the football field. You also have Demetrius Robertson, who didn't record a single catch last year, if that's hard to believe. His biggest play was that toss sweep where he went like 70-something yards for – I think it was a touchdown, or it was short of a touchdown. I'm not 100% sure. I can't quite remember in my head. But that was like the first glimpse and the only glimpse that we saw of him all season. It seems like I went to practice one day this spring, and his body size just seems more bulkier. He seems more relaxed in the reps and everything. And I think this could be a year that we could really see him shine. I mean, he's got to shine now, or he's gonna be one of the biggest busts in Rivals in 247 ranking history, him being, I believe he was the number 1 wide receiver coming out of that recruiting class. So I have big standards. I have big expectations for him this season. You also have Tommy Bush and Matt Landers, 2 other 6 6'4" plus guys who have just been in the program. Tommy Bush for a year now, Matt Landers for 2 years now, who have just kind of been like sitting in the wings. They haven't really done anything on the football field. Matt Landers got into some games last season, but he didn't catch a ball or anything like that. And then Tommy redshirted, of course. And I think he needed some weight. That's the biggest thing with him and Matt Landers both. They both needed weight on them. But those are two guys that could see something. And then you also have Kears Jackson, Micaiah Tongue, Dominic Blaylock. The two last names I said were both from the 2019 class as well. Dom Blaylock could be another Terry Godwin-esque kind of guy who can come in and be that slot guy, but he's also quick enough that if he needs to do some punt returns and stuff like that, he can as well. I mean, it's just so much talent. You could go on and talk for this whole segment about what each of these guys could bring to the table, but it's time for one of them to step up. You don't have Miko anymore. You don't have Riley anymore, and you don't have Terry to lean on to do most of the work. Jeremiah Holman stepped up huge for the Dogs last year. He's got to do that even more this year. So I have high expectations for the wide receivers class because they're talented, and there's no reason why 3 or 4 of these guys should not be having 400 plus yards.
And this is one of the reasons why the great programs recruit in waves, and it makes a difference between what we see at, let's say, a mid-tier SEC or Power 5 program versus one of the elites, meaning Alabama, Ohio State, Clemson, Georgia, where they just have waves of players. Because if you track the 5 and the 4 stars, not all of them come through. That's just the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
A number of them become busts, or they become decent players, but don't play up to the level that you would expect of that recruiting ranking. But when you bring them in, as Kirby Smart has, in waves and waves and waves, and you get 7 guys, well, you don't need 7 wide receivers to play extremely well, but you need 3 or 4. And most likely you're going to get the 3 or 4 out of those 7 that you bring in that are going to be, and I'm not talking about one particular recruiting class signing 7 wide receivers, but you typically have 7 or 8 guys that are a collection of what you've got on a roster, and you need 3 or 4 of them. You need, typically on an elite team, you're going to have 1 guy that's just going to be the man, and you got about 2 other guys that are going to be very productive that you need. And when you recruit at Kirby Smart's level and just bring in waves of these guys, the probabilities say, yeah, 3 or 4 are going to come through, and you're good to go, and you're going to have a great unit.
I agree. And that's not even mentioning the tight ends either. Georgia's got talented tight ends as well. And there's no, like you said, 3 or 4 guys, be consistent, step up, and do your job. That's going to be my motto. I can't talk today. Motto for the team this year: do your job, especially for the wide receivers and the tight ends, because they leaned on those guys last year. And Isaac Nauta, I wish he came back. In my opinion, he should have came back, but he didn't. So Charlie Warner's going to have to step up. Charlie Warner has been kind of the guy that has gone middle of the road, done what he's supposed to do, had some great catches, had some great blocks, and has done, well enough to get some limelight. But now he is the leader. He is the senior guy. Georgia also brought in Eli Wolf from Tennessee, another transfer, and he's going to bring some veteran experience as well. But Coley likes to use tight ends. So this is a year for those 2 guys, along with Rylan Goad, who is coming back from an ACL injury, but he's the 2019 guy, and John Fitzpatrick, who redshirted last year, who came in with Luke Ford, who transferred out. All these guys have had moves made so they can be able to step up and do something. And I'm excited to see what these 2 units can do, because it's all about stepping up this season, because they're either going to step up, or you're going to see Georgia have all this talent and not be able to do it.